In this video, we'll talk about what is procedure-oriented programming and what are the basic difference between procedure-oriented programming and object-oriented programming. Let's start. So what is basically procedural-oriented programming? In procedural-oriented programming, your logic is your highest priority. But in object-oriented programming, your data is your highest priority. So in object-oriented programming, why our data is our highest priority? I'll talk about that in my object-oriented series. In this series, as of now, we'll just focus on the difference between procedural-oriented programming and object-oriented programming. And our procedural-oriented programming follows the top-down approach, and our object-oriented programming follows the bottom-up approach. In procedural-oriented programming, we call everything as functions. In object-oriented programming, we have a concept of object. So basically, whatever tasks we perform within object-oriented programming, we call everything as object. Procedural-oriented programming is related to the unreal world. Let's say that you are writing a Fibonacci series or a factorial series. It doesn't depend on your real life, right? But in object-oriented programming, every time you focus on an object, and object is a virtual representation of your real-life entity. So in procedural-oriented language, we basically focus on a logic. In object-oriented programming, we basically focus on data. And another thing is we can add any functions easily in object-oriented programming, but in procedural-oriented programming, we can't do that. These are basically basic difference between object-oriented programming and procedural-oriented programming. In procedural-oriented programming, we cannot implement method overloading, method overriding, encapsulation, access modifier, threading. So these are the things that we cannot perform in procedural-oriented programming, but in object-oriented programming, we can do that. In procedural-oriented programming, we have C, we have Fortran, we have Pascal. In object-oriented programming, we have Java, we have C++, we have JavaScript. So these are the basic difference between object-oriented programming and procedural-oriented programming. In the next video, we'll talk about the bytecode and machine code and why Java is platform independent. See you in the next video.